Hello, Gaurav. How are you?
Hi, I'm well, thanks.
Good to have you on our summit. We just met, but I was watching some videos of you from all kinds of conferences. Of course, a fintech leader, an angel investor, a tech entrepreneur. I don't know how to frame you exactly. So maybe when we start, you just give us the introduction about, and you have a very interesting story, so everybody will get to know you.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And it seems like you've introduced me better than I can introduce myself. So, but I'll try. Um, just my background is I was born into fintech. So my family started a fintech business about 40 years ago. So I grew up around fintech and the industry and the people. From financial institutions to entrepreneurs to creative thinkers to users, and seeing the industry as it changed. So I grew up watching how different solutions came to market, how people brought them forward. And then after my university, I got involved with the family business. And now I'm the CEO. We had a partial exit to a sovereign wealth fund. And in the last 5 years, I've also been a very active regional and global investor in fintech ideas, because I would love to be the kind of person that nurtures people who want to make change, whether it's financial inclusion, digitization of processes, ease of use of services, because scalability of fintech is inevitable. And even if I'm not directly facilitating that, if I can help people do it with capital, advice, help, that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years in parallel to actually delivering technology again in over 20 countries. We deliver fintech solutions, cutting edge fintech solutions every single day. We deliver hundreds of solutions every year. So I'm running both these parallels. So my life as an investor, a mentor, a deliverer of fintech solutions, I believe is unique, and I love it and I enjoy it. So, and I'm thrilled to be here because this opportunity between these two ecosystems was done in the background. It was there, but it was in the background. Now it's come to the front. And so the potential is very exciting. So thank you for having me. I look forward to discovering it with you and through events like this that you curate.
Amazing. And you were very modest, and you didn't even start mentioning the country that you are active on. And by the way, you were referring to Israel and the UAE, of course. It's in the news. We are a global fintech nation summit with all the nations here together. And of course, me as Israeli wants to welcome you here in Israel. I want to open up the doors of fintech and the bridges together with you. I think this is what this whole summit is all about, and the story of Israel and your region. I mean, the first delegations who are flying right now are these banks and fintechs, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Financial exchange is at the core of any ecosystem or any economy, right? It's only natural. Fintech is extremely at the top. I mean, agri-tech is also very much there. So what's besides financial core and agriculture sustenance for a top sovereign agenda or country agendas, it makes natural sense, absolutely. And I can't wait to be there myself.
Amazing. I can't wait to host you and, of course, visit you and learn about your culture and the ecosystem and everything that you guys are doing. I heard a talk of you in another conference talking about cash and how the old world haven't been really involved. Like the potential is much bigger, right?
So it's interesting that you bring that up, and so cash is something that is still very strong throughout the Middle East, the GCC Middle East, and that's because fraud is very low. So trust is very high. So there's no need for digitization. People are enjoying digitization and the perks of having digitization, and the accessibility of financial services or products or benefits because of all these new solutions that are coming in. But for such a long time, even the basic solutions that were out there, you don't have 100% market penetration because cash is fine and fraud is so low. And it was great. But Today's world, that figure has dropped rapidly, fastest in the last 5 years, from something like, to figures of 70 to 78% cash, dipping down to almost 62%, 63% cash. That's a huge change in very little time. When you think about, 40 years ago, in the first 30 years, it maybe only was 70%, 80% cash, and the rest 20% or 25% was digitization. And to have that push further, 10%, 12, 15%, 20% coming on board in the last 5 years, just shows you how easy it is, or happy people are, to consume services this way. There's still a long way to go. And that brings me to the next point: is each country has its own unique set of demographics and consumption of digital services and fintech. So what you see in Egypt versus what you see in the UAE and what you see in Saudi Arabia will be slightly different, or will have different characteristics of adoption, of reach, because of those populations. Some countries have moving populations with expatriates, some have heavier local populations and characteristics, some have high penetration of digital services, and some do not. So the opportunities actually vary. It's not uniform. And that's what makes this region challenging, but very rewarding for those that know how to stitch them together. And that's where it took me and my business 20 years to do that. It's not an overnight thing.
Wow.
It took 20 years to stitch these ecosystems together and understand what each one wants. And that's why it's super interesting now with what's happening today.
And all these payment giants like Visa, right, and MasterCard, they have people over there, right? They have like a huge.
Oh, absolutely. Visa and MasterCard are heavily involved in traditional service orientation, based out of the UAE, focusing on the whole of Middle East, Africa, and some parts of Asia as well. So some of them have focuses on Pakistan and India. Some of them just have an India office, or they are very active. And now Visa and MasterCard are slowly bringing more technology to the region as well, in terms of what works in Europe and what works in the United States. They're paying attention to this region. You're going to see a lot more programs of Visa and MasterCard being involved, more than the background, more at the forefront. You're going to see them get very involved, very much so.
Tell me a bit about your relationships, global relationships. You are the thought leader, as an investor. Of course, it's all about these relationships, right, that you nurture. Like you mentioned, a lot of countries that you're active in. Give me some juicy spicy details about the places you're active, the relationships you have, the kind of companies you look for.
Sure. So the countries we're most active in today are countries like the UAE, Oman, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and some other places as well, where we're venturing into Africa very strongly as well. So we started conversations in Nigeria. We have relations in Kenya, and South Africa is a very interesting market. So for providing services and cutting edge technology, these are the markets we're active in on two sides. One side is traditional services, where we're providing them everyday solutions, point of sale solutions, app facing solutions. On the other side, what we've been doing for the last 4 years is a digital fintech roadmap. And that's this conversation today, because I've been doing so much investing and studying of the ecosystems and their evolution in Europe, in India, and the United States, and seeing how Latin America also has certain adoptions of solution sets. We are now curating fintech roadmaps for this region, because not everything works here automatically. You can't put a square peg in a round hole. So what we do is we curate, because of all my investments in the United States, in the Middle East, in India, and in Asia, I'm taking all those learnings, solutioning, and building roadmaps for aggressive financial fintech roadmap digitization in these countries as well. So we're providing solutions today, plus we're designing solutions for tomorrow, because when you talk about business processes, some people don't want to change their core systems. They want to leave their core systems, but they want to offer new solutions. We help them design how that would look across each department of implementation and rollout. Some people want a completely new identity. They want a completely new identity and they want to focus on onboarding, or other people want to focus on SMEs, or other people want to focus on lending to SMEs, or some people want to do all three of those. So what we do is we look at those characteristics of those institutions as a whole, not just payments anymore. And we say, okay, let us help you design the best in class of technology globally that will help you achieve goals in a phased manner quickly. So it's amazing how things have changed. I mean, I probably had conversations with 15 white label digital bank out of the box providers
I was about
in
to
the
ask.
last 18 months.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. I mean, so things are moving fast, and this region is rewarding those that are willing to educate people, understand their needs properly, and then the needs of their customers as well. FinTech has changed. It's value addition first. How are you solving my problems and showing value to my customers? And because you understand that problem, we believe that you're the right person to provide us with those technologies. And that's the attitude change that's happening today. And change is happening much faster. And it's brilliant. So
Amazing.
it's super exciting.
Amazing, amazing. I wanted to ask, like, so in the investors world, we have what we call smart money. Not only you investing me, but you helping me grow. And you're, let's say I'm a brilliant fintech idea from Israel, and I want to reach one of the banks that you have relationship, because you have relationship with these banks from Abu Dhabi, for example. How connected you are to these also traditional banks over there?
So it's interesting that you say that. So since we've been doing this for the last 5 years, there are two ways that this happens. The companies find us because they want access to the banks. We find those companies because we want those technology for the banks. The banks trust us to do excellent due diligence on a technical level, a commercial level, and a founder level to actually bring those technologies to these banks. So we partner with the best in class companies, but we heavily do due diligence on them, because if I have a relationship with these banks in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and I've been doing a lot of business with them, they know me and they trust me to make sure that I will always give them the best in class service whenever they call or whenever they need something. So because they know me, they're happy to adopt new technology because of it. And we've done that pretty quick. In certain cases, we've signed partnership agreements and done investments in companies and produced revenue for them in 6 to 8 weeks.
Wow.
From signing. Yeah.
These are real stories of deals. Unbelievable. Tell me, how do you have all these arms into so many markets? Like, you have to be a local and understand, you said yourself, building this ecosystem in different locations. Who helps you? Who are the people on the ground?
It takes time. So we work, now in today's world remotely. People are, it's unfortunate that you can't spend more time meeting people and building these relationships, but I count my blessing every day when I wake up in the morning. I promise you, when my father started this, he did a lot of the foundation work to build these relationships for the first 25 years before I came.
Wow.
For the last 20 years. So, 15, 20 years. So he set those relationships up, and we just kept making sure that when we deliver technology and support, it's 110% every time. So the reliability and reputation has repeated itself. And that in itself is something that we've scaled effectively. So that's our USP.
That's the way to do things. Wow. And what excites you in the fintech world? Let's leave the region for a second and look at the world. We have Singapore, and we have Hong Kong, and the UK, and Australia, and Israel. So many countries. The Nordics doing amazing also. What excites you? What did you see recently that even if it's a sort of technology that excites you, potential, doesn't have to be a company?
That's very interesting. What excites me most? I think the thing that excites me most right now is the enablement of SMEs or businesses to technology and capital. So, and let me put it this way: the advent of buy now, pay later means providing credit to people that didn't have credit away from your traditional credit card companies. That's exciting for me.
Yeah.
The next thing that's super exciting is the provision of technology to SMEs to be able to manage their own business, start their own business, and have access to trade finance. That's again access to technology and capital that wasn't available before. So you'll see countries like Egypt transform quickly because of this. You'll see countries where you have expats and people who can't build credit history because they're only in a country for 6 months or 3 months, suddenly having access to credit where they wanted it, or businesses getting more customers because those customers get access to credit. These two things are extremely exciting now. And the third one, which everyone's talking about, and it's going to be extremely interesting to see how it develops in this region, especially open banking. Wow,
Yeah.
that's going to be, so these three things right now, where technology is homegrown, it's from this region, it's not imported. Those are the things that excite me the most, because those founders are passionate, are experienced, they want to solve a problem, they don't want to just sell a solution, right? They're not a salesman, they're driven, and that changes the dynamic of how technology adoption, solving a problem, and scale happens, and these are the three things I think generally that are extremely exciting right
now. Think of a better answer for this question that I just brought to you. I just want to tell you, that the whole idea for the FinTech Nation Summit and the community and the hackathon that we're going to do and the FinTech Week that we want to do later, it actually came from the Netherlands. Because I was reading a month ago a manifesto by the Minister of Finance in the Netherlands, and only a month ago, and he said that the Netherlands needs to rebrand itself and refocus on FinTech because, yeah, we have COVID, but FinTech is here to stay, it's strong. Yeah. And he mentioned in his manifesto 2 nations that the Netherlands needs to collaborate with in terms of FinTech. One was Singapore, and the second one was Israel. And he said that they need to connect these FinTech bridges for their own country and their own sake. And then I thought about what we have together right now, the new, direct flight, direct peace with each other, and the potential of stuff that we can do. And I want to see the first deal that you will make here in Israel. I mean, this is like unbelievable. This is historic.
I can't wait myself. I have more than my whatever capital I'm willing to commit myself, because all our investments are done from we're not a VC. We do everything from and we don't do balance sheet investments. It's personal capital, so we move very quickly. So I'm very excited. I'm ready to go, and more importantly than capital, I'm willing to put my time into it, because for me, I don't have, like, unlike a VC which has a 5-year or a 10-year cycle, my cycle is an open horizon. So I have to make sure it works all the time, because my customers are my priority, which are all the financial institutions, telcos, all these people. I'm really, really interested to see how we can do this. I'm super excited.
Amazing. Thank you very much for being here, for supporting this summit. I know you are, with all your network. And how can people find out more about you? People want to connect with you. How could they do that?
Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I have my profile there. I'm frequently interacting with people on LinkedIn. They can find us. I mean, my company website is very basic, but if people want to have a conversation anytime, just reach out to me there. That's the best way.
Unbelievable. Thank you very much. Let's create these FinTech bridges. And by the way, this is an online summit, so people here are watching you, and it's a matchmaking summit. It's all about not just hearing the talks, but connecting. So you can answer people on the chat. You can get a one-on-one conversation during the summit. And unbelievable. This is not just about the talks. It's actual business here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Nir. Thank you for the opportunity. Lovely to meet you.
Vice versa. Bye-bye, and see you soon.